The country's leading economic think tank says that pensions should be subject to inheritance tax. The Institute for Fiscal Studies basically says that the remainder of a pension pot could be put into your estate once you die, basically meaning that they will get to take yet another tranche of tax off it. Atul, what do you think to this one?
I think I'll understand a lot of your viewers' worry and anger. No one wants to pay more tax, but look at the situation we're in. We've got a huge pile of debt. We've just been talking about an NHS that is woefully underfunded. You can't see a GP. There's not enough police on the streets. All of that costs money, and the money's got to come from somewhere. And the only places it will come from are either schemes like this, which, in fairness, would equalise the treatment of pension pots with the rest of an estate, or higher income tax, which everyone pays. And I think it's going to come from lots of different places. So I think there's merit in this scheme. It would increase revenue by about a quarter of the current yield of inheritance tax. It should be considered. I don't profess to have a full impact analysis of it, but it's the sort of thing that should be considered because more money has to be raised from different sources. And there's no getting around that if we want to have enough police, doctors, nurses, teachers in our public services.
James?
Well, I'm sorry that you don't have a full impact analysis.
Get off.
Everybody comes equipped with one of those. But I think the most striking thing for me about this is who or what is the IFS? Can you name their chief of the Institute for Fiscal Studies, Michelle?
No, I cannot. But I can tell you what the acronym stands for, which is, as you said, Institute of Fiscal Studies. And apparently it's a very well-respected think tank, James.
Well, that's about as convincing as saying I'm well-respected.
Oh, hang on, I can't tell you the chief exec now because they've just told me it in my ear, but I think that would be cheating, so I won't.
It's Paul Johnson.
Yeah.
And, the question we've got to ask is, who are all these people? You've got the IMF, the OBR, the MMC of the BOE, you've got the PRA, you've got the FCA.
Right, and so you don't like think tanks, right? So
well, no, they're not think tanks. They're government regulators and government quangos and independent, revered institutions like the Institute for Fiscal Studies. And the reason you can't name Paul Johnson is you never got to vote for him. Now, he is saying that by raising the princely sum, I believe from what I've read, £1.9 billion, which is kind of a few Saudi homes in central London, that he is saying, and you are intimating, Atul, that can solve, the big financial problems that we've had. Well, look, the point is, elected governments are supposed to make these decisions. Of course, the IFS has every right to express its opinion. But for us to go to the altar of all of these three-lettered acronyms and believe that is the way to run economic policy.
Well, no, because the government, that's a recommendation, isn't it, from someone that's paid to do what they're doing, which is come up with economic thoughts, principles and strategies. It's on the government to review that and choose whether or not
Yes, but once they're paid to do what they're doing, they're no longer independent. They are just a sort of cipher, a media force for pressing the government to do the right technocratic thing. It's undemocratic. We are not able to re-elect these people. We cannot vote for them, and they have far too much influence.
Think